너와 나 우리의 여름밤 그 세 글자 네 눈에 떠올라.
Hey guys, how's it going? So today I'm going to be talking about what it's like having multiple tortoises. Now it's going to be a little bit easier for me being that I'm in Florida and I can keep these guys outside year-round. But I will say they are probably one of the easiest pets I've ever kept. Like many reptiles, I find that having a tortoise is really just getting that setup dialed in, and the rest is quite easy. Good boy. So since we have a gorgeous day out today, I'm going to be taking out the babies. We have our Burmese stars, our redfoot tortoise, and the cherryhead tortoise. Going to get these guys getting a nice soak. This will get them nice and hydrated so I don't have to worry about them getting a little overheated. When keeping young tortoises, it's important to make sure that they're properly hydrated. The older ones give you a little bit more leniency, but the babies can be very delicate. It is recommended that you soak a young tortoise, this includes a hatchling, at least 2 to 3 times a week. As they get older, you can kind of break it up to where it's only maybe twice a week or once a week is probably sufficient, assuming that their enclosure is the proper humidity and they have access to clean fresh water daily. Usually once they start entering that juvenile stage, they typically kind of soak in their water dish on their own. Now, as I've said before in previous videos, humidity is a huge key factor in preventing pyramiding in your tortoise. For the proper shell growth, it's really an amalgamation of a lot of things. Genetics is one, diet, proper humidity, proper temps, proper substrate. Really just proper general care as a whole seems to mitigate the risk of pyramiding and possibly MBD, metabolic bone disease. Now, as far as diet, you're going to want to do some research as to where your tortoise comes from, what grows there naturally. I would highly recommend growing grasses, weeds, like dandelion, for example, as well as spineless cactus and hibiscus. As far as produce goes, I would only feed fruit if it's a part of your species diet. Like if it's a sulcata, I would not feed it. I would feed fruit to a Burmese black mountain tortoise, redfoots, and yellowfoots, as well as cherryheads, which are basically redfoots. Now with tortoises like the Burmese star, these guys are grassland grazers, so they're going to eat a lot of grass, lots of weeds, lots of greens and fiber, no fruit. And if you involve the proper diet and care, you're going to have some really happy, healthy tortoises. Alright, so we're going to be feeding the big guys today. We have some Missouri tortoise chow, romaine lettuce, mushrooms, and papaya. It is kind of the middle of the day, so usually they're in their houses right now. Hey, buddy. But usually once I start laying the food down, they all come out. So the Missouri isn't a convincing test to come out, so we'll see if some romaine lettuce does the trick. Seems we are getting much faster results. Now, for having larger tortoises or giant tortoises, this is a sulcata, Centrocelli sulcata. They are found in Africa, and these guys can get 180, 200 pounds pretty easily. Now, with having a large tortoise, you're going to need a large amount of space. These guys are quite small and cute when they're young, but they do get bigger. Tess here is about halfway grown. He's got a 32 by 15 foot enclosure. Now, although these guys are quite adorable as hatchlings, they do get massive, so that's part of the problem with sulcatas. Yeah, you're pretty hungry. It's part of the problem with sulcatas is lots of people get them as little cute babies and they don't realize how big these guys actually get. And it takes a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of effort to build them a proper enclosure. Alright, bud. And yes, tortoises can feel through their shell. It's kind of like your fingernail. And they do like their butts rubbed and their shell scratched. Now he found the Missouri. Alright, so for the redfoots, their pond is doing great. I actually added some Flex Seal, the sprayable Flex Seal. I think on the bottom there I went a little bit too thin and the water soaks through pretty quickly. So with this Flex Seal, it seems to be actually holding water throughout the day. Alright, so for feeding the redfoots, we have romaine and we got some papaya on the bottom there, as well as some Missouri and some mushrooms for protein. Alright guys, so here comes the redfoots. Hey guys. Hello Louisa. Now tortoises such as the redfoot, Burmese star, Indian star, these guys are considered mid-sized tortoises, so you're not going to need a sulcata-sized space necessarily, although the bigger the better in my opinion. Now redfoots are a forest species, so if you notice, half of their enclosure is shaded 100% of the day. Now redfoot tortoises can be really fun tortoises to keep. They are very personable. These guys are super fun. They do really well in Florida. I would highly recommend them if you're looking for a tortoise and you're living in Florida. These guys you can give fruit to, so it makes feeding them a little bit easier, especially trying to feed them different things all the time. Okay. And as far as reptiles go, tortoises are definitely the least dangerous. I don't think I've ever met anybody that doesn't like tortoises, to be honest. And honestly, it's kind of like having a bunch of rock puppies. Now, I would like to give a special thanks to Dan, as well as his two daughters, Kinsley and Kelsey. These guys are amazing redfoots. Super happy to have them here. I promise you, they are living their best life here, and I can't wait for you guys to come visit them. Now, once you have the proper enclosure and environment for your tortoise, the rest of the care is actually quite easy. However, before getting a tortoise, especially your first tortoise, you really need to understand the gravity of owning a tortoise. These guys live a very long time. They will likely outlive you. So, I mean, this is like the ultimate commitment, pet-wise. Now, I will say they are loads of fun. Kind of therapeutic for you, especially if you've got depression or anxiety like myself. Just seeing these guys do their thing, living their best life, brings me a lot of peace. And maybe it'll be the same for you. Well, we got some breeding behavior going on. Well, looks like I finally got some breeding behavior going with the redfoot tortoises. That means these guys are happy, comfortable, if they're willing to breed, so this is a great sign. But I think that about wraps up today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed the content. Forgive the noise in the background. But you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.